skip that. That's a project we did in San Francisco.
I don't think I have a picture of Santa Monica.
Oh, you
so
don't?
Talk about it.
Oh, I'll just talk about it.
Okay.
That's a 40-story high-rise, mixed-income, mixed-use rental we did in the corner of 3rd and Mission, San Francisco, about 7 years ago, called the Paramount. But project we have just recently gotten entitled, the City of Santa Monica, I think is more relevant to this discussion. City of Santa Monica, 2 blocks from the ocean, near the Civic Center, opposite where Rand Corporation has just rebuilt its new headquarters, right on Ocean, if you know that area. They bought this from Rand, who took the money, built a new headquarters, and the city put out a request for proposals about 5 years ago for mixed income residential with some retail. We won the request for proposals, worked with a team of Santa Monica-based architects, ultimately Moore Rubel Udell and Koenig Eisenberg. And the project on one corner is 65 luxury condominiums. Right next to it, separated by a walk street, 160 low-income family rentals. Then there's a private office building. And then the other corner, 95 luxury condominiums. At 160 market rate, 160 affordable. That works in the marketplace because it's 2 blocks from the ocean. I mean, this is a unique location. There will never be an entitlement for 160 luxury condos near the water in Santa Monica, I suspect, ever again. But the city wanted help to pay for the affordable housing that it wanted. There'll be a park across the street. City of Santa Monica is a very interesting process. You said talking about something you enjoy. I'm not sure enjoy is the word I would use. But in the City of Santa Monica, there are several commissions, and this is all about getting the public engaged. I just described a process in LA where you can get the public engaged, and you probably need to without 5 commissions, but there is a housing commission, a rec and park commission, a planning commission, and a design review board. You have to go to each of them before you go to city council at every step of the process, and only council really matters, to be blunt. But you got to go through all of that. It took us 4 years to get entitlements, and there really wasn't a lot of opposition. That's 4 years without a lot of opposition. One lesson, though, to all of these, I think, is it is very hard for a small developer to do this. It just takes too much time. The flip side, which is something that we do a lot, is when you have a lengthy process, this is publicly owned land, you don't have to take down the land. It's one thing to spend 4 years, and architect's fees and everything, entitling and re-entitling a site. It's another thing to do it and also pay for the land. That happens very rarely. There's a large project on Bunker Hill we're working with in Jan where we unfortunately had to do both, but that's another story. So the end product, though, is better. For all of that massaging, the end product, I think, is really superior. There were issues of height. Height is the H word in Santa Monica. You can't do that. We got some variances to mix up the height because they understood the urban design value of doing that, so it didn't all look the same, like I could argue Playa Vista does, for example. And in any event,
grows to the same height and then chops off.
Yeah, I'll stop there. There's a case where you had to have patience to get to the right outcome. It just took a lot of massaging, a lot of grinding of teeth, et cetera, et cetera. The outcome, however, is very good.
Great. Thanks, Bill. And continuing back and forth, I think Gail, our planning director, and let's hear your story.
My story. Well, first of all, let me thank Bill. I was grateful to hear that it took him longer to do a project in Santa Monica than it did in Los Angeles, and I appreciate your willingness publicly to say that, and the more you say it, the better as far as I'm concerned.
Happy to help.
You know, I arrived in Los Angeles about 3.5 years ago, and my charge from the beginning was to really facilitate a credible planning process in Los Angeles. And I think that Bill correctly pointed out that in Los Angeles, it is, because of the complicated processes we have and sometimes not a lot of clarity, at least in our community plans, it really takes a sophisticated developer and large projects to really navigate the system in Los Angeles. And I think the thing that we're missing, at least in the planning process from my perspective, is creating enough clarity and simplicity that the smaller developers who do the small projects that might be more affordable, that are the small infill projects, that they too have a place at the table and they too can do business in Los Angeles. So from the beginning of my tenure as planning director, what I was really looking to do is to, first of all, raise the level of dialogue around planning so that community members better understood the value of planning, because I was fairly convinced that if we could get plans really adopted in Los Angeles that reflected a vision that communities had for themselves, and that reflected the vision that the policymakers had for their districts, that then the projects could go through so much more quickly. But I have to point out that, you know, from beginning to end, the planners have the worst of all of it, because we are in it really from the beginning of a planning process through the entitlement process for projects and then the implementation. And I tell planners every day that it is not our mission in planning to create plans. It is not. It's our mission in planning to create great neighborhoods. And plans are only one piece of that. But they are an important and critical beginning piece to that. And it's a challenge in Los Angeles, in this huge, diverse city that we have, to really engage enough community members to build a community plan that really reflects their vision. And I think it's particularly a challenge for us in some of our more diverse and in some of the lower income communities where we have many folks who are renting and not owning, and we have many folks whose life is really more about getting through the day than it is about sitting around with us and trying to vision a future. And so it presents a real challenge, I think, to go out and to really engage the public. But we're trying to do that. And the reality is we also have to depend greatly upon the elected officials, because often the elected officials, who are, by the way, the policy makers, often have a better sense of what those community members are looking for than we often do. One of the things that I tell the planners every day too is something I also heard in Bill's presentation, and that's the importance of listening. You know, we all talk too much and listen not quite enough. And we are now in the planning department, with the support of the city council and the mayor, we are currently working on 12 new community plans. And I'll share with you that Los Angeles has, in our general plan, I think a really good strategy for citywide growth. In our framework plan that was adopted, I think, in around 2000, it's a smart growth plan that really talks about transitioning Los Angeles from an auto-oriented city to a more people-oriented city, that really looks at moving from cars to transit to walkability. And so we have that good citywide strategy. But what we had not done is really take that citywide strategy and translate it into really effective community plans. And so we are now working on 12 community plans, and the commitment that our council made was that this city would work on a rotation of community plans so that every 10 or 12 years we would have all new community plans. There are 35 in the city. It takes about 3 years to complete a community plan. And if each year we start 4 and we end 4, the planning department, if